Welcome back. Thank you for joining me on Rhino Radio on this very interesting, joyous, but welcoming and accepting holiday special, Rhino Radio. My name is Orr, and I am really delighted to have David Butterworth, Reverend David Butterworth, minister of the Methodist Church of Britain, right here with me. We've been talking for a few minutes now, but it's amazing. I'm really glad. We're agreeing, we're disagreeing, we're sharing stories. We're talking about holidays. We're also talking about the challenges of this season, but also this year. We are sharing tools. We're also inviting our listeners to share their tools, their challenges. As we said, rhinoradio.co.uk, you have all of our socials over there so you can reach out. David shortly will also share contact information. So if you want to reach out to him, obviously of a man of faith, but not just a man of people. So from my experience, he's a great conversationist. So he will be able to share information, listen, great at listening, maybe even share some cake, but that's not guaranteed. But we're talking about the holiday. We're talking about our joy. We're talking about our challenges. Obviously, right now, we are talking through an app on our digital devices, through the internet, which is something relatively new. So that's a great benefit, but it also comes with some sort of a, can we call it a challenge? Social media, it has some sort of a darkness inside of it. Would you agree?
I would imagine there are challenges for some people. I use social media in a, I hope and believe, a constructive way, that I try to peacefully challenge discrimination and people being excluded. I bear in mind that I am a Methodist Church minister, and our reason for being is to love God and love other people, and to do things peaceably. But that doesn't mean that we have to be meek and mild. We can still be strong with our opinion, and our opinion should revolve around, hopefully, with most people, about being kind and welcoming to other people. England is not a place that is perfect at all. The Methodist Church is not a place that is perfect. I'm not perfect. But say, for example, through social media, I'm connected with people in America and the States and other places, Fiji, India, Ireland, Sweden. And if I see something that I think is terrible, and I think I can help change opinion, I will dip my toe in the water to actually say, I'm here if I can help. And more recently, there was a church in America. The signs were pulled off the outside of its walls and its notice boards, where lovely people had put Black Lives Matter posters on its wall outside this Asbury church. And that's grievous to the people of the church and the people of the community. And it was people with a particular political, non-critical, challenging perspective on life that did that and burnt the posters and terrified people. So, what's the connection with America and Birmingham? There is a place called Birmingham in America, but we're in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. In Birmingham, Asbury, which the church in America was called after, Mr. Asbury, or Reverend Asbury, he came from Birmingham, United Kingdom. And so there's a connection. And so I put prayers from the roots of Asbury in Birmingham, in the United Kingdom. And nearly 100 people from America tweeted back later in the next few days saying, thank you so much for your prayer. I've spent 6 months in India and love people in India of all faith and none. I deliberately went to experience life with Hindus and Muslims, and the awfulness that we see at the moment of the government acting in an almost hateful way to Indian farmers. Why would I not want to communicate and say that's wrong? Likewise, it's wrong here for different groups. So social media can be terrible. It can be a finger wagging, finger pointing, nasty context, but stay away from those places. we need to know that those places are there so we can contradict them, with goodness and reason, and use social media for positive outcomes, being careful all the time on your own safeguarding.
Yeah, I think from my experience over the last couple of years, but obviously it kind of got to the extreme over the US elections. But social media, on one hand, obviously brings us together, whether it's just information or like we're doing right now, communicating over the internet. It exposes us to different groups. I know that the rock community realized that being an outcast in one small community doesn't mean that you are by yourself. So it helped a lot of minorities of all different types, whether it's your favorite computer game that you're alone in your school, or genders, or sexual orientation, beliefs, brought communities, virtual communities together through the internet. So that was a great side of it. We got exposed to awfulness of the world that we can resist to and try and bring change to those communities as well. But it also brings some uninformed information, unverified information, as we saw over the last couple of months in the US election. A lot of opinions that are not necessarily based on facts. Sometimes we surround ourselves with people that think the same, and then we think that that's the common belief. On top of that, the culture of influencers that became some sort of a dream to many. Also, the belief that because we don't have those goals or meeting those goals as others meet on social media, then maybe we've done something wrong, either because we don't want the same things or because we cannot get to the same places. And I feel like that's the darkness in there. On top of that, maybe even the addiction of just consuming more and more, being reachable all the time, waiting for likes, waiting for messages that sometimes don't come, and you feel like you've done something wrong. But I think just to kind of balance those two, we need to first of all be aware and then try and take control again. So utilize it, but also remind ourselves that we are in control. So it's not the phone that controls our life. If the battery is dead, then that's okay. If you want to take a day off, a week off, as much time as you need, then that's okay. But also to challenge everything we see there, just like we do with everything else. We used to challenge the newspapers, we used to challenge the news reporters. So now, if we just see that somebody says that something happened, that doesn't mean that it actually happened. It doesn't necessarily mean that it happened the way that it's described. It doesn't mean that that's what everybody believes. So, not feeling like we're alone, not feeling like we've done something wrong, not feeling like we haven't done enough just because we're not exactly as it is on our digital black screen.
Yeah, yeah. I think the secret is to, this might people might think I'm trying to teach people to suck eggs, and I'm absolutely not. But as a child, we're often given platitudes and certainties that this is the way it is. Some of us are fortunate as we grow older that we're informed that actually we're not telling you the way it is. We're going to give you various options, and then it's up to your life experience and journey to say, well, actually, I think that version is true. I've looked at the other possibilities, and this narrative is true. Um, so if we can breathe in all the different data from everywhere and churn it with critical engagement to try and understand what is the truth in this scenario, or the environment that's closest to the truth, then we're in a better place. And but of course, it still needs bold people, brave people to say, if there's racism, don't turn a blind eye. Don't be silent about it. Don't walk on the other side of the street. Say something to be critical of it and to say it is not acceptable. Likewise, if it's castigation of gay men and women or trans people, don't be silent on it. Critically engage and say it is not acceptable. These people are just beautiful people, and they're created in the way that they are created. Just like you and me are created as we are, Yeah. it's a tough world out there for many people, and I've used the word earlier that it's a lonely place, albeit it's a gregarious place as well, and there's a lot happening. But for some in a space where it's very lonely, it's painful, and I've been privileged to hear people's painful stories, and so perhaps this Christmas or Christmaka, we need, and I'm using the word we, I'm not pointing a finger at anybody. We all need to be more aware of who is out there and what help we can offer, with a sense of humility and from our own poverty of spirituality or humanity, but just share. When I was in India, people that had nothing, they would have a handful of rice a day. That was their daily portion, of a handful of rice. But on some of the dry riverbeds where the river had stopped flowing, they would offer me half that rice. And so let's, if we experience kindness, let us reflect that kindness to other people. There's a phrase these days, isn't there? You may have heard it, that pay forward. Let's try and pay forward kindness to other people to help save lives.
As you said before, if not you, who? I really enjoy the phrase, the personal is political. So anything we do is some sort of a step towards the progression of our society. Even our discussion, we're sitting in the comfort of our rooms at home, and this discussion is already a step forward, either for us and hopefully for others as well, to find strength, to challenge the norms, as you said, critical thinking, instead of taking things as they are. So many things changed over decades of humanity marching forward, and we're not there yet. We are not at the end. Things will hopefully become better, but it's a progression. It's always moving, hopefully forward, sometimes backwards, unfortunately, but it will only keep on moving if we show kindness, if we talk about stuff, if we ask questions, and if we reach out. So sometimes you're going to be on the helping side, sometimes you're going to ask for help, and this is part of why we're here today. On one hand, celebrating the joy that should have been here, the joys that we still have here, but also being aware of the fact that there's much more to do. There is much more to offer right now. There is also much more to ask for if you are in need. So we're hoping that on one hand, our discussion brought you joy. On one hand, it made you feel like you're part of a bigger group, that you're not alone, reminded you that you can reach out if you need help, but also reminded you that if you are blessed, if you are fortunate, if you can, then reach out and help others, whether it's listening, giving a can of soup, or anything in between, just being a shoulder for someone in whatever they need. And sometimes it's easy as that, just picking up a phone, just smiling at someone, and sometimes you saved a life.
Yeah.
David, unless you have anything else to add, I would like to thank you again. I'll just ask you, after I thank you properly, is it okay for people to contact you if they do have any questions, if they like your message?
I'd happily be a signpost. Perhaps the best way would be through email, RevDavidButterworth at gmail.com, or through Twitter, RevDButterworth, or you might find me on YouTube somewhere on your program. I'm happy to be contacted and to be a signpost for help.
Yeah, I'll share all your contacts if you're fine with that at the comment section, just in this video, and also on our socials. David Butterworth, Reverend David Butterworth, minister of the Methodist Church of Britain, and my friend. I hope that didn't offend you. But thank you very much for sharing. Thank you for almost lightly arguing with me, disagreeing with me for years. So I really appreciate all of our discussions, and hopefully it helped others as well. We'll wrap up on one last holiday song, whether it's for Christmas or for Hanukkah or Eid or anything in between, Kwanzaa as well. We are more than happy to hear about what you're celebrating or what you wished you could have celebrated more. But again, Reverend David Butterworth, thank you very much for your time. Listeners, thank you very much for joining us. And hopefully we'll meet again, either by a mosh pit or by a service of some sort, people to people, regardless of who you are, what you like, and what kind of cakes you're going to offer us. But thank you very much for joining us. Hope you stay safe, and don't forget to reach out. and we'll see you at the next show on Rhino Radio. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you.